For all the talk about the Sixers and Bucks struggles to start the season, no team's a bigger disaster than the New Orleans Pelicans. A legitimate expectation of 50 wins this year, but according to Basketball Reference, have a 0% chance of even making the play-in. So should they tank the rest of the season? What are they going to do about Zion? Because his latest injury is worse than we thought. No kidding. Now ESPN is openly talking about cutting him from the team. Why? Because his contract lets New Orleans waive Zion with no consequences. See ya, buddy. Dude has weight clauses in his contract and just put out this video. And no fat shaming, just stating facts. This man gets paid $40 million to be in peak shape, and this ain't it. So how did this all happen? Well, I want to look at if New Orleans will cut or trade Zion, but he already broke up with his agent. But I am always looking for the best Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals, and number one on my list is the Raycon Everyday Earbuds. I've owned those super expensive types, and Raycon easily stacks up at a much lower price, especially with their new features. Active noise cancellation. Cannot tell you how important that is in the gym. I don't want to hear the gym's lame music. I want my own lame music. The quick charge function. Nothing more annoying than low battery right at the beginning of my workout. I go to the gym almost every day, and now 10 minutes of charging time equals 90 minutes of battery life. And even though Raycon's quality rivals some of the biggest names in premium audio, Raycon starts at just half the price of the other guys. So they're already an incredible deal before you factor in the Black Friday, Cyber Monday offer of up to 30% off site-wide. And cool colors, so it's not just the standard black or white. So it is time to save big for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Go to buyraycon.com/amhoops today to get up to 30% off site-wide. Yeah, up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/amhoops. The Athletic reported that Zion fired his reps at CAA. One of those headlines that feels like a big deal, but you're not really sure why. Well, a reporter named Chris Persianen says that there are two reasons Zion did this. First, they failed to get him to the New York Knicks. Zion's been obsessed with playing for the Knicks since they had a chance to get him number one in 2019. New York had to settle for the third pick in RJ Barrett, but they were this close. Then there was that awkward comment about how much he loves playing in New York.
New York is the mecca of basketball. I love playing here. Outside of New Orleans, obviously, I think this might be my favorite place to play outside of New Orleans.
Yeah, right. And CAA was supposed to be his ticket to the Knicks. And the Knicks are in the market for a star. Not just one, but two big trades. 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, dealt Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo for Karl Anthony Towns. Guaranteed, Zion was pissed when both of those happened. It should have been me. Felt betrayed by his agency. But speaking of guarantees, dude's wild contract. The details are insane. Ever since he was drafted, Zion's been the most unreliable star in the NBA. Missed 47% of games his first 5 seasons, almost half the games. And he struggled big time with his weight. Here's what he looked like at Duke, and here he is in New Orleans. Not great. So people wondered, are the Pelicans even going to offer him a new max contract? Would he sign it to leave for New York? If Zion left, he would have been the first player ever to turn down a rookie max extension. But sure enough, summer 2022, Zion signs 5-year max to stay in New Orleans. But NOLA wanted protections. They set 6 check-ins during the year on his weight and body fat percentage. The sum of those two numbers can't go above 295. So if he weighs 285, his body fat can't be above 10. 295. If he goes over that, part of his money becomes non-guaranteed. But games played is even worse. Because when Zion missed over 22 games 2 years ago, the final 3 years of his contract are not guaranteed. A disaster. They even have a clause about a specific bone in his body. If Zion breaks the 5th metatarsal in his foot, half his money is not guaranteed. Dude, when all this started to come to fruition, Zion was like, "You are fired." So if the Pels want to move on from the Zion era, they can either cut him, no big deal because all that non-guaranteed money, or trade him. But before we look at Zion's future in detail, what about the Pelicans? Should they tank? Well, they have their own 2025 first-round pick. No protections. So if they get number 1, it is Cooper Flag. Plus, it's a loaded draft anyway. If they draft 2, 3, or 4, it's all good. But NOLA is so bad right now, not just because of Zion. Here's a look at their best players according to plus minus. The top 4 have missed serious time with injury. Brandon Ingram healthy, okay, Herb Jones out, then it's Jose Alvarado, great. So outside of BI, they're literally playing all guys with a negative plus minus. Starting players like Brandon Boston Jr. and Elfrid Payton, who they signed off the street. And how dumb is the DeJounte Murray trade looking like right now? I mean, they just threw in Dyson Daniels. He might be a future defensive player of the year. Okay, my best Jimmy High Roller impression. This is a look at blocks and steals per 75 possessions. Down at the bottom, you see average to bad defenders like Harrison Barnes and Gary Trent Jr. Go up, and it's elite shot blockers with Victor Wembanyama in a league of his own. On the right for steals, one of the best defenders this year is Tari Eason. Then there's Dyson Daniels, the Victor Wembanyama of steals. Thank you. But it just reminds you of the Grizzlies last year, right? Like big hopes, crushed by injuries, tanked and got a top 10 pick. But the Pelicans are different because unlike Memphis, the Pelicans are going to get healthy. So the only way to tank would be to trade guys like CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram. Even though they have a 0% chance of making the playoffs, they still have to try. Plus, tanking ain't what it used to be, okay? You could be the worst team and still get the 5th pick. I mean, just ask the Pistons. And you know, if that happened, Coach Willie Green and front office guy David Griffin would be fired. So there's no way they do this. But what about Zion? To cut or to trade? Well, trade is the obvious option, but who even wants this guy? The dream is a healthy, focused Zion. That guy is the most dominant player in the NBA, but the reality perfectly summed up in one game. Last year playing against the Lakers, Zion drops 40, looks unstoppable, but right at the end, leaves injured, his team loses the game. But guys know he can be great, so if they can somehow rehab his trade value, odds makers say the Lakers have the best odds to trade for Zion, followed by the Rockets, Clippers, Knicks, Hawks, Nets, Grizz, and Bulls. Now I want to go over the top teams here. The Lakers want another star, but Zion's a horrible fit. He needs the ball, which takes it out of LeBron's hands, and he doesn't shoot, which messes with AD. AD's been playing more inside, and Zion almost always finishes in the paint. But the Rockets make sense. The Athletic already reported they've got interest. Zion's 24 years old, which works with their timeline. And if Giannis isn't available and Zion is cheap, I wouldn't be surprised to see Houston want this trade. But the Clippers are number 1 on my list. If the Clips want to rebuild, they can't do it through the draft. All their picks are gone. And they can't trade for more picks because they've got no valuable players to trade. But a potential star like Zion for cheap, yes! This is the desperate kind of team that would roll the dice for Zion. The last one here is the Knicks. We know that Zion wants to be there, but they've already made their deals. Only way this happens is if they regret the Mikal Bridges deal so much they make a trade. That's a long shot, so a Zion to Clippers deal would have to happen this summer. So we started the season thinking the Pels' biggest issue was moving Brandon Ingram, but it turns out he's been like their only healthy star, and now they might be out of the Zion business. Hey, maybe Brandon Ingram carrying their offense actually improves his trade value and they can deal him. First, they've got to get everyone on the court to see how they fit together, but I would not be surprised if this move happens soon, especially because Zion moved on from his agents and is pissed. But another young all-star with drama right now is Tyrese Halliburton. Looks nothing like himself this year so far. Lots of people say his problem is a mystery. We've got no idea why he's fallen off, but that's not true. We know exactly what's going on.